She laughed about wanting me dead, so I gave her what she asked for. I thought I was doing something good, something kind, something that might bring us back to the version of ourselves that laughed more than we argued. It had been a quiet couple of months between Rachel and me. Not hostile, just distant. I chalked it up to stress. I had been in the middle of finalizing the sale of my company, and she had been working longer hours at the firm. I figured we were just tired. I booked a lake house for the weekend. It was a spot she always loved, the same place her parents used to take her when she was little. I coordinated the dates, took time off, even talked to her sister Dana, and asked her if she could help keep Rachel busy for a few hours while I went ahead to set everything up. I had a plan. Bring candles, music, her favorite wine, something warm and quiet and personal. Something to make her feel seen. On the way out of town, I stopped at a grocery store to grab some last-minute things. Crackers, cheese, a better bottle of red. I was standing in line with my basket when I heard a voice I recognized 3 people ahead of me. Dana. She had not seen me. She was on the phone, talking on speaker like she always did when she wanted the whole world to hear her opinion, laughing too loud like always. At first I did not pay attention, but then I heard her say my name, something like, "He is going all out with this little weekend thing. He thinks it is some big romantic gesture." Then silence, then laughter, then... Honestly, if he stayed out there and just did not come back, that would probably make her life easier. I froze. The air felt too still. Then I heard Rachel's voice, muffled but clear enough through the phone. She said something like, "I mean, he is sweet, but it is exhausting pretending. Like he is always doing the right thing, and I am just over here faking interest in everything." Dana said, "Then just end it." Rachel replied, "Not yet. If he leaves first, it makes things cleaner." I backed out of the line before she turned, left the basket where it stood, walked straight out the front door, and got into my car. I just sat there. I was not angry. Not yet. I felt like I had been suddenly misplaced, like I was someone else, in someone else's life. I texted Rachel and told her the owners of the lake house had canceled last minute, claimed something about plumbing issues. Said they refunded me. She replied, "That is fine. Probably for the best. Work is crazy anyway." No disappointment. No questions. No, "Sorry you wasted your time." Just confirmation. That night, I lay awake in our bed, next to her, and stared at the ceiling while she scrolled through her phone with that blank look she got when she was not pretending to care. I wondered how long she had been waiting for me to disappear on my own. I thought about the fact that I had just sold my company for more than I had ever dreamed, that I had planned to start something new, build something better. I had even thought about bringing her in, making her part of the next thing. That morning, I got out of bed earlier than usual, left the house and drove around for a while before parking across the street and watching our home from the car. I waited until she left, watched where she went. Not work, not the gym, just a coffee shop where she sat with Dana and laughed for an hour. After that, I started watching more. I stopped talking as much. Let her fill in the blanks. I wanted to understand how deep this ran before I decided what to do. A few nights later, I heard her on the phone again. She did not know I was walking past the bedroom door. She was in the bathroom with the light off, voice soft, but I heard every word. She told someone she wanted out, that she could not keep pretending, that I was a good man but not the right one, that money did not matter if you felt dead inside, that she wished she had married the guy she used to hook up with in college, the one with the motorcycle and the tattoo who made her feel alive even when they were broke. Then she laughed, said something about being trapped in a golden cage. I kept walking, pretended I had not heard a thing, went to the kitchen, made tea, sat in the dark and made a decision. Not revenge, not rage, just clarity. I texted Eric the next morning. He was my business attorney, someone I trusted. I asked him if he had time to talk. He said yes. I told him everything, and when I was done, he said, "We will make sure you come out of this clean." And we did. Eric did not ask unnecessary questions. That was one of the reasons I always trusted him. I told him what I heard, what I saw, what I suspected. He did not look shocked. He looked like someone connecting dots that were already halfway visible. I asked him if we could make sure things were handled quietly, legally, without theatrics. He said we can move your assets into holding structures. Nothing shady, just protected. We will use a shell LLC to transfer your liquid accounts into a separate ownership model. It will look like a business transition. If she tries to subpoena anything, it will be airtight. I nodded. I was not looking to hurt her. I just did not want to be punished for trusting the wrong person. I spent the next 2 weeks acting normal. I slept next to her. I made her coffee in the morning. I laughed at the same stories. She never noticed the shift. Never asked why I was suddenly working later, meeting with accountants, forwarding calls to Eric. She was so focused on controlling the narrative of her own escape that she missed mine. She started picking fights. Small ones. Said I was distant. Said I was not putting in effort. I agreed. Told her I was tired. That I had a lot on my mind. That seemed to satisfy her. She wanted a reason to be the one who felt neglected. One night she said, "You do not even touch me anymore." I said I thought you did not want me to. She did not answer, just rolled over and stared at the wall. That was the night I finished the transfer. Every asset, every share, every piece of intellectual property I had from the last business moved into a trust under my name alone. She still had the house, the car, the main checking account. I let her keep all of it, not because I wanted to be generous, because I wanted her to feel like she won something. The house looked good on paper, but it was locked into a mortgage we had refinanced twice. The taxes were steep. The market had cooled. If she tried to sell it quickly, she would take a loss. If she kept it, she would drown slowly. I was not cruel. I was just done carrying weight that had never been mine alone. A few days later, I filed the divorce papers. Had them delivered to her at home on a Tuesday morning while I was at the gym. She called me 6 times in a row. I did not answer. When I walked through the door that evening, she was sitting at the kitchen table with the documents spread out like they were foreign instructions. She asked what this was. I said, "It is what you wanted." She said I blindsided her. I said, "You planned your exit. I just beat you to the door." She asked if I was seeing someone. I laughed. Said, "You made me invisible months ago. Now I am just honoring it." That night I slept in the guest room. She did not cry. Not then. She just went silent. Like her plan had been interrupted mid-script. Over the next week, she tried different tactics. One day she was angry. One day she was apologetic. One night she asked if we could try counseling. I said no. I told her I did not trust her. That trust was not something you rehearse or negotiate. It is something you either protect or lose. And she lost it the moment she wished me gone on speakerphone. After that, she stopped trying, signed the papers, took the house, the car, the accounts. I walked away with nothing physical but everything I actually cared about. I booked a flight to Lisbon the next day. I had always wanted to see the Atlantic from the European side. I called my family from the airport. My mom said, "We never liked her anyway. I am just glad you finally opened your eyes." My dad said, "Take your time. Go be free." I smiled. When the plane took off, I did not feel relief. I felt alignment. Like for the first time in a long time, my actions and my heart were finally pointed in the same direction. I looked out at the clouds and thought, I do not need to win. I just need to be gone. Portugal was warm in a way that did not demand anything from you. The people were soft-spoken. The food was slow. The streets smelled like stone and wine. I stayed in Lisbon for 2 weeks. Did not speak much, just walked, read, watched the sea at night, and reminded myself that I was still here. Still whole, still mine. After that I drifted. Morocco, Ireland, Tokyo. I rented apartments with monthly leases and no furniture I recognized. I stopped waking up at 6 a.m. I stopped replying to messages that did not matter. I started to write again. Not for publication, just for myself. I had not done that in years. I made lists of places I wanted to see, things I wanted to eat, books I wanted to finish. For the first time in a decade, my life was not defined by anyone else's expectation. I thought about Rachel less and less. Not because I hated her, because the version of her that I once loved no longer existed. If she ever really had. The real Rachel. The one who said nothing when I came home late, who shrugged when I tried to share joy, who laughed with her sister about how convenient it would be if I vanished. That version of her had been there for longer than I wanted to admit. I did not need revenge. I just needed distance. And distance, as it turns out, is the most honest teacher. A few months in, I started getting updates from back home. Not from Rachel. We had not spoken since the divorce was finalized. But from mutual friends. From family. My brother told me the house had gone on the market. Then off. Then on again. Apparently she tried to sell it quickly, but ran into legal snags. High taxes. Deferred maintenance. The kind of financial details she had never cared to understand, because they were invisible when I handled them. She eventually sold it for a lot less than we paid, used most of the money to pay off shared debts, credit cards, old student loans, replaced the car with something cheap and practical, moved into a 1-bedroom place on the outskirts of the city. I saw a photo someone tagged her in by accident. She looked thinner, not sick, just pulled in, like someone still waiting for the big change that never came. I did not feel joy. I felt nothing. Just confirmation she got what she wanted. Independence, space, no more golden cage. But freedom costs. And sometimes you do not realize how expensive it is until the bill lands in your lap. I never gloated. I never posted anything. I did not need her to know how well I was doing. The point was not her knowing. The point was me living. My family asked when I was coming back. I told them I did not know, that I needed more time. They understood. My mom sent me photos of the garden back home. My dad joked that I should start a travel blog and call it Escaping Rachel. I laughed harder than I had in months. I met people along the way. Not romantically, just real connections. A bartender in Kyoto who asked why I always wrote in the same notebook. A couple from Spain who said I looked peaceful. I told them I was relearning silence. That used to mean loneliness. Now it meant presence. Somewhere between Chile and Croatia. I stopped counting days. I stopped looking at the calendar and thinking about anniversaries. There was no date I needed to dread anymore. No memory I needed to relive. I realized one afternoon in a rooftop cafe in Florence that I had not thought about the divorce in weeks, that the last piece of her voice in my head had gone quiet, and that, more than anything else, was healing. It did not come with a speech or a final moment, just stillness. And in that stillness, I started planning again. Not out of desperation, out of hope. Quiet hope. The kind that builds slowly and holds its shape. By the time I returned to the States, I had been gone almost 11 months. I landed with one backpack, 2 journals, and a list of places I still wanted to see when the time was right. I rented a small place near the mountains. Nothing fancy. 1 bedroom, solid light. A quiet deck where I could drink coffee in the morning and hear birds instead of traffic. I started working again, consulting mostly. Just enough to stay sharp, never enough to feel trapped. I kept my name off any leases, any companies. I had learned what hiding in plain sight could do. Rachel never reached out. Not a call, not a message, not a half-hearted email. I knew she saw some things I posted. Travel photos, the occasional quote. I kept it light, impersonal. It was not for her. It was for me. Every so often, someone from our old circle would ask what happened. I never gave details. Just said, things ended. I moved on. That was enough. The people who needed the whole story were never the ones who deserved it. One day, Eric called and said the last piece of our financial separation had finalized. There was nothing left connecting us. I hung up and stared at the quiet room around me. I had not realized how much tension still lived in my shoulders until it left. I poured a drink, sat down, listened to nothing. That silence was the closest thing to peace I'd ever felt. A month later, I saw her name again. A mutual friend had tagged her in a post. She was sitting in a lawn chair outside a small beige house, the kind of place you drive past without noticing. She looked fine, not happy, not broken, just average. That somehow felt like the real ending. Not dramatic, not tragic, just flat. A straight line where once there had been chaos. I do not know if she ever regrets anything. I do not need to. Because regret was never the point. Survival was. Rebuilding was. I have not tried to date since. Not because I am closed off. Because I know now what it takes to trust someone again, and I do not want to rush it. I do not want to hand over the keys to a life I rebuilt brick by brick just because I am lonely one night. I am not bitter. I am not angry. I am not waiting for anyone to say sorry. I think the most powerful thing I ever did was leave quietly. No screaming, no slamming doors, just decisive movement. She got the house, the story, the silence. I got my name back, my clarity, my time. If someone asked me what I learned, I would say this. Sometimes the greatest revenge is not ruining someone. It is refusing to carry the damage they caused. It is looking at the wreckage and saying, this is not mine to clean up anymore. It is walking away with your spine straight and your hands steady. And never looking back, not even once, because you already know there is nothing worth finding behind you.